Joining me this morning is Zoe Tennant, a 29-year-old master's student at the University of British Columbia. Zoe is just completing her first year of her journalism degree and has a passion for human rights issues and the untold stories of people like the Montagnards, a refugee group she met with recently at a house in Vancouver. She also has an obsession with pho, but we'll get to that in a moment. This is the story of her morning with the Montagnards. Zoe, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Zoe, why don't you start us off by telling us, who are the Montagnards?
So the Montagnards are a group of Indigenous people from the Central Highlands of Vietnam, and they're very persecuted at the hands of the Vietnamese government. And it seems to me, from what I've been learning, that their issues are quite silenced. And there's a group of the Montagnard refugees living here in Vancouver.
So as I understand it, you went out and met with them a few weeks ago. So what motivated you to go and meet with them?
Well, I'd heard about them from someone I was speaking with last fall, and just became curious to learn more about the Montagnard. I'd actually never heard of them before, and I knew that there was a group of Montagnards living in East Vancouver. So I'd connected with this woman, Kara, who has been volunteering and working really closely with the Montagnard in helping them settle in Vancouver, and she'd invited me to come and meet with them. They meet every Saturday, and so I was just curious to learn more about them. And I suppose part of the backstory is I have an adopted brother who came to Canada from Vietnam, so there's that sort of ties in with part of my interest. But yeah, I was just wanted to learn more about them.
So what was the atmosphere like when you first arrived at the house?
Well, it was quite amazing. So I took the bus and was walking down this quiet residential street in East Vancouver, and I went up to this house and opened the door, and there was this room full of just a small room. There were about 50 Montagnards sitting in this room, and if you were walking down this street, it's this quiet residential street, you'd have no idea that behind one of the doors of one of these houses that doesn't look much different from all of the rest, there's a very, very, very different story in that house. So sorry, did I answer the question?
You did, yeah. I mean, it sounds like there would be a lot of interesting stories to tell about that day. Was there a specific one you'd like to sort of relay from your experience there?
I think a lot of things came up. One of the things that I realized was that most of the Montagnard that are here don't speak any English at all. Then there's one man, Kuhn, who sort of does speak English and acts as the interpreter for the group. So there's some barriers in speaking with all of the people there. But I suppose one of the stories that comes to mind is there was a man there who I was speaking with, and he really wanted to go home, and he wanted to leave Canada and to go back to his home in Vietnam, but it's very unsafe to do so. And so he'd asked me if I could help him get him home, and it was a challenging moment, I suppose, just feeling quite helpless, that I felt quite helpless with the whole situation and wanted to help him, but knew that I couldn't help him get home and that he couldn't go home. So yeah, so just that feeling of knowing that there's these people here who can't be at their home, and I'm just trailing off here.
It's Sounds like a really touching moment that you had with that gentleman. Well, thanks very much for sharing your story with us this morning, Zoe. I've been speaking with Zoe Tennant, a Master of Journalism student who met recently with a group of Vietnamese refugees called the Montagnards here in Vancouver. Thanks.